Hey guys, tonight let's do the sensible thing. Let's dim the lights, put the phone face down, maybe lower the volume just a little. You don't need to focus tonight, you just need to drift, because we're starting a very long, very calm journey through one of history's favorite hobbies, disappearing entirely. Ancient civilizations had a habit of showing up, building impressive things, declaring themselves eternal, and then, very politely, vanishing. No big goodbye party, no final speech, just a slow, confusing fade into archaeological homework. And honestly, it's kind of comforting. Even empires needed naps. So tonight, we're talking about how ancient civilizations disappeared. Not with explosions, not with dramatic last stands, mostly with paperwork problems, climate tantrums, and leaders who absolutely did not read the room. We'll float gently from one culture to the next, watching them slowly misplace themselves in history. No stress, no urgency, just thousands of years of quiet collapse. Let's start where everyone does, in the swampy, muddy, extremely ambitious land between two rivers, because of course we are. Mesopotamia. The name literally means between rivers, which is helpful because that's exactly where it was, the Tigris and Euphrates. Fertile, unpredictable, flood-prone in a very surprise you live underwater now kind of way. This is where humans decided they were done wandering around and wanted buildings, and laws, and bureaucracy. A lot of bureaucracy. The Sumerians showed up around 3500 BCE and immediately got busy inventing civilization like they were on a deadline. Cities popped up, writing happened, math appeared, beer was perfected. A solid start. They built ziggurats, which are basically religious layer cakes, and worshipped gods who were, let's say, emotionally demanding. The Sumerian gods were not warm or nurturing. They were moody, petty, easily annoyed, which makes sense because the rivers they depended on flooded whenever they felt like it. Sometimes the fields got water, sometimes the city got water. Sometimes everything got water. The gods clearly were freelancing. But the Sumerians thrived anyway, for a while. They built city-states like Uruk, and Lagash, each with its own king, each with its own ego, and none of them particularly interested in cooperating. This is important because disunity is basically collapse's favorite snack. As centuries passed, the land became saltier. Irrigation was great at first, then it quietly ruined the soil. Crops started failing, yields dropped, farmers complained. Kings ignored them, because kings always ignore farmers until there is literally no food left. Meanwhile, rival city-states fought constantly. Not epic wars, just endless, exhausting conflicts over land, water, and whose god was currently more offended. This drained resources, weakened defenses, and made everyone tired. Enter the Akkadians. Around 2300 BCE, Sargon of Akkad showed up and did something very rude. He unified Mesopotamia. Militarily, with an army, because of course he did. He created the world's first empire and ruled over the Sumerians, who were not thrilled about this development. The Akkadian Empire ran things efficiently, aggressively, and briefly. Because empires love efficiency until the climate changes and everything breaks. And then the droughts came. Not mild droughts, serious, long-term droughts. Rains stopped showing up, crops failed on a wide scale, trade collapsed, cities emptied, people moved, revolts broke out, and the Akkadian Empire slowly realized that controlling a massive region doesn't help when there is no food anywhere. By around 2150 BCE, Akkad was gone. Not conquered, not destroyed in a dramatic sense, just unsupported. The administrative structure collapsed under environmental pressure, internal rebellion, and the universal problem of overextension. The Sumerian city-states briefly re-emerged, dusted themselves off, and said, "Okay, let's try again." And for a little while, they did.
But the soil was still salty, the climate was still unstable, and the region would continue cycling through empires like it was trying to find the right fit. Babylon, Assyria, Persia, each rising, each insisting they were different, each eventually discovering gravity. Mesopotamia didn't end in fire, it ended in layers. Layers of ruins, layers of forgotten kings, layers of clay tablets complaining about grain deliveries. A gentle, muddy fade. Let's drift east now, slowly, past mountains, past deserts, to a civilization that did something even more mysterious. The Indus Valley. Around 2600 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization was quietly thriving in what is now Pakistan and northwest India, and unlike Mesopotamia or Egypt, they did not feel the need to scream about it. Their cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, were incredibly well planned. Grid layouts, advanced drainage systems, bathrooms. Actual bathrooms, thousands of years before Europe would figure out that waste should probably go somewhere specific. They standardized bricks, weights, measures, everything neat, everything orderly. Very soothing energy. And here's the weird part. We know almost nothing about their rulers. No giant statues of kings, no massive tombs, no "I am God's favorite" inscriptions. Just seals, small art, quiet cities. They had writing. We still can't read it, which is rude, but fine. So what happened to them? No one knows for sure, which is historian code for we have theories and they all argue with each other. There's no evidence of widespread violence, no burned cities, no massacre layers, which already sets them apart from the usual collapse template. Instead, it looks like the rivers changed. The Indus River system shifted over time. Some tributaries dried up, others moved. Fields that once had reliable water didn't anymore. Agriculture became harder. Trade networks weakened. Gradually, people left the cities. Not all at once, not in panic, just slowly. Urban centers shrank. Populations dispersed into smaller villages. The big cities were abandoned, brick by brick. By around 1900 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization was no longer urban. The culture didn't vanish entirely, the people didn't vanish, the civilization, as an organized urban system, simply stopped being one, which might be the most peaceful collapse imaginable. No drama, no last stand, just everyone deciding cities were too much work and heading out. Let's float west again, back to a civilization that really wanted you to remember it. Ancient Egypt. Egypt lasted a long time, like an obnoxiously long time. Over 3,000 years of continuity. That's not a civilization, that's a marathon. Protected by deserts, fed by the Nile, obsessed with the afterlife, Egypt had stability baked in. The Nile flooded predictably. Crops grew, pharaohs ruled as gods, everything ran on ritual, tradition, and paperwork. So how does something like that disappear? Very slowly and very awkwardly. Egypt didn't collapse once, it faded in installments. First, internal problems, weak pharaohs, power struggles, regional governors getting a little too comfortable with independence, economic strain, corruption, all the classics. Then foreign invasions, not dramatic ones, just waves. Libyans, Nubians, Assyrians, Persians, Greeks, Romans. Everyone wanted to turn with Egypt like it was a historical timeshare. Each conquest chipped away at Egyptian autonomy. The culture persisted, but the political power didn't. Pharaohs became symbolic. Traditions continued, but under foreign rule. By the time Rome took over, Egypt was still Egypt in flavor, but not in control. Temples still operated, priests still prayed, but decisions were made elsewhere. And then Christianity arrived. Pagan temples closed, hieroglyphics stopped being used, knowledge of how to read them vanished. Egypt didn't fall, it was overwritten. Its language died, its religion faded, its political system dissolved into imperial administration. The pyramids stayed, because of course they did. Silent, immovable, watching everything else forget what they were for. Now let's glide over to a civilization that really wanted you to remember its calendar: the Maya. The Maya lived in Mesoamerica and built cities deep in jungles, massive stone structures, complex mathematics, astronomy so precise it still makes people uncomfortable. They tracked time obsessively, cycles within cycles, dates within dates, which is ironic considering how their timeline played out. The Maya didn't have one centralized empire, they had city-states. Again, city-states always think they're immune to this. Cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Copan. They built upward, literally, pyramids rising above the canopy, kings ruling through divine legitimacy in ritual. But the environment was tricky. Thin soil, seasonal rainfall, everything